predstavile. Potem bo pa Dimitri potem pa preklopil na PowerPoint, to bo pa se sam povedal.
Well, Dimitri, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Dimitri Korpakis, who is head of unit in DG Research and Innovation, and we are very grateful for your contribution to our Information Day, and we are looking forward to the information you're going to give us. Thank you so much.
Okay, Boris, thank you very much. I'm going now to let me get So ladies and gentlemen, good morning, rather good afternoon, since in Brussels is rather lunchtime. My name is Dimitri Korpakis. I'm the head of unit for Training Excellence and Learning Participation, including smart specialization program. And I would like to talk to you this afternoon about the issue of Training Excellence and Learning Participation in Horizon 2020 and the possible synergy with the structural and investment funds. I guess you are able to hear this presentation and to see actually?
Yes.
Okay, so I continue. If you take a look to the European region, how we invest in R&D, you can see some remarkable facts that point to some great concentration of effort. So out of the total of 266 regions in the European Union, only 35 in 2009 and R&D intensity above 3%. You know, the 3% is the objective that we have set for the European Union until 2020. And if you take a closer look, together these 35 regions accounted for almost 45% of all R&D efforts in the European Union. And even 10 of them are all located in the Nordic member states. And they totalize almost 9.2% of the total R&D expenditure in the European Union. So this points to a huge concentration effort, which leaves, I would say, a big shadow over a big part of Europe. As you know, we want to take the Horizon 2020, the different program for research and innovation, a real economic point for the region, because we have found from several studies that the more you invest in research and innovation, the more you are probably entitled to better economic growth. If you just take a look to the snapshot of the GDP growth in 2010 compared with the average R&D investment for the 4 years preceding the deep crisis, you will see that most member states have been heavily invested in R&D innovation. You can see names like Sweden, Finland, Germany, Denmark, Austria, France. They are all better. They are better placed to exit the crisis compared to other countries that are actually in the problem. It doesn't mean that if you invest in research and innovation, you will solve immediately all your economic problems, but you will be much better if you are doing this project a long-term objective. The particular distribution of the European Innovation Program is also reflected in the regional performance group. So you can see that on the left, to the right side of this map, and to the south of Europe, you will see that it is very well to find most regions that are really what we call modest innovators. That means really low performance in terms of R&D innovation, with some islands of innovation around the capital, where you see this little yellow spot around capitals. Now this doesn't change much of the picture. As you know, 3 years ago, Evropska introduced a flagship initiative on innovation union, which has particular principle commitment that we are monitoring very closely on education. You can see this on the internet because we have an information system which is publicly available. And we would like to extend this efforts on innovation not only to the federal program, but much more on almost everything the union does from regulation, to, I would say, to retail. So we need to introduce innovation spirit in everything we do, and also, more obviously, on our efforts to complete the European research area. We need to notice this an objective of the Commission even until the end of 2014. In this respect, there is a need to have synergies with the European Structural and Investment Fund. And I can tell you that we have worked hard with our colleagues in regional policy to introduce a lot of, I would say, articles in the motivations of the federal program and the structural funds to ensure that there are provisions that, I would say, guide the member states to a better synergy. And two that are particularly important. The first of all is practicalization and conditionality, and then the second is the market concentration. I put all this in one table, which I call the synergies and practice and related markets, just to remind you of the similarities but also the differences in Horizon 2030. This is, I would say, a top-down program marked centrally by Brussels, by us, and the Commission, with three particular pillars of excellence, industrial leadership, and social challenges, and at the same time, I would say the same audience in the member states will be implementing also pollution policy. And there, the first municipality, which is the smart specialization and municipality, which invites the member states to have a particular strategy for growth, which is place-based, which invites member states to focus on particular comparative advantages that they have, and if they want to engage into other objectives, they have to go through an evidence-based policy, and also have compatibility with the national reform program, with the European semester, and monitoring and review systems and methods, and also a stable budgetary framework for the years to come, although we know that this is quite difficult, but nevertheless, it is necessary. And of course, if there are European countries who follow or recession transactions proceed in the country, they have to also to be allowed and explained this on this line. The second thing is that rich and poor regions have to concentrate their efforts by allocating between 60 and 80% of the total energy allocation on only 4 of the 11 thematic objectives of the structural fund, and for transition and development it will be 60 to 80%. Related innovation, supporting information from data technology, competitiveness of SMEs, and the low carbon products, and the trade objective that on a lower percentage of the have to be allocated with its core objective. I can remind you that there are 11 thematic objectives in the structural fund, so you can see that there is a strong effort to reallocate money to particularly important objectives. And you may also have already heard that funding synergies are also possible. We have embedded specific articles in Horizon 2020 and also in the common provision regulations of the European Structural and Investment Fund. So you can fund the same project also by two funding streams, but there is a catch that you have to make sure that what you fund from each instrument has to be a different growth pattern for different funding, because we have to avoid double funding. So what we will be giving as cost to an horizon, the grant agreement should not be the same with what we are going to give to the market authority if it is the same project. This can be actually planned by the final beneficiaries and by market authorities. But the reason that we are doing this is not so much for the money, but for introducing an increased impact on the ground for the plant combined activity. We have to notice that Horizon 2020 marks a departure in terms of support to regional innovation, because now the focus is not about some research, as for example, within the doing with the former program of research and projects. The focus now is on institutions, companies, and people. And there are, however, a lot of novelties in terms of programs, such as the new financial enablement instrument, the new SME instrument, and the fast-track innovation pilot that will have probably a strong and lasting effect at the regional level. And you know, Horizon 2020 is a close to 80 billion euro program of the next multi-annual financial framework. It's also a core part of Europe 2020 and Innovation Union, the European Tech Area Strategy. As I said, it is a real economic policy going beyond the only challenge of research. We want to make sure that we are really reaching the innovation stage. So the important public will see that we are extending the actions not just to the test results, but also to, in most cases, market application and even commercialization of the test results in the context, of course, of the competition policies we cannot for free. But nevertheless, what is important to keep in mind is that there will be huge simplification of the Horizon stakeholders, much better than the previous effort program. To participate, we have three priority areas. The first is excellent science. The second is the industrial leadership, where you can find most of the previous actors from the cooperation program. And then societal challenge, to look where we can have to address issues that are really difficult for any member state to do alone. So, for example, like climate change, transport, energy, and so forth. Horizon 2020 is also very involved in terms of partnering with member states, so we can have public-private partnerships, and at the moment there is a big investment package included for the council, where we would introduce the motivation of the successful development of the terms of program service. There are also public-private partnerships with the form of parallel, which is going to be now the former element project, where the Commission of the Economic Board of the United States, where all of the support the agenda of the Dodatni initiative, current line in the Horizon 2020, and also the alliance in the European policies, which are not part of the but they are there for maintenance to the or to figure out the range of the regulation. The second level is also created by small and medium enterprises with the amount of money that is going to SMEs to 15% in the next we can also application and immediately when the company SMEs in with those policies and also particular areas for representative expertise and new financial machinery under the part of access to the fund. As you will see, we will accompany small enterprises with a very simplified procedures and now from the concept is built and structured to market application, demonstration, and finally to commercialization. This final phase will not be funded because we are stopped there by the competition rules, but there will be intensive coaching with courses that we will provide through the European Enterprise Europe Network, but the final choice will be left with the SMEs themselves. The fast track innovation pilot is a new activity that will be launched only in 2015, which is a real simplified action with a continuous open call, a maximum of 5 partners, and a maximum of 3 million euros per project. So we want really to support small players, smaller projects. This will be applied to all strategic alternatives and industrial leadership, and it will be part of the evaluation of the Horizon 2020 program. If this proves to be good, there will be probably more money to come to the future. So we have to pay some attention because this will be also important as part of the original strategy. But coming back now to the area of public excellence and value verification, this came after an intensive political debate in the country, and it is now a particular separate part of the framework program outside of the 3 pillars. The background to this was because, in a nutshell, it was found at some point that some of the member states, in particular the Union member states, but also other member states, were not really participating to the full of their capacity in the framework program. And the Commission then conducted an analysis that proved that some of the particular factors that pay a lot of that have a lot to do with this area is first and foremost the insufficient national investment in the effects of innovation, insufficient capacity to also reduce taxes into national networks. This can be also addressed, as you know, by cohesion policy funding, but its horizon also will be to do something about this, and this is why we have this particular action, and we have, as you know, issued the first call under the acronym WIDE. So we have about 800 million under the new part 3A of Horizon 2020. The activities will be continued with the centers of excellence on the new Swedish institutional networking and ERHA, European Research Area, which is focusing on bringing excellence to research institutions. We will also introduce a policy support facility and a special action on cost and widening action. If I go now to a little bit more detail, the typical for excellence is a simple idea of creating new centers of excellence in low-performing regions and countries, and this will be also encompassing the upgrade of existing sectors. I have also to stress that the proposals have to fit with the overall smart specialization strategy of the host countries and a commitment of the European region of the member states, for example, to support this action via cohesion policy funds is also expected. We expect then a business plan, the distribution, and subject to the quality of this first phase, we may provide better financial support. And we will also be looking at how much this center of excellence will be intended to the regional economy. Really is a simpler form of research protection without any particular supporting infrastructure or equipment, but it will be accompanied with using sample changes, expert visits, virtual training, workshops, conference attendance, summer schools, and dissemination of outreach activities. Also, it's also factor here, it is the marketization strategy is also linked to this training proposals, although I repeat that this is not a factor area. The NHS for Research and ongoing pilot is about to attract outstanding academic institutions with a clear potential for research excellence in order to help these institutions fully unlock their potential and thereby create a revenue next year. We are going to develop this pilot and already there are calls that you achieved on the 11th of December. Furthermore, we are going to introduce gradually a policy support facility that on an account basis, so only if the member states ask the Commission, we can provide expertise to public authorities at national or regional level for designing relevant national or regional innovation strategies. We are going also to support costs on their neighbors to further work on growth. You know, of course, it is an intergovernmental support framework for research and innovation, and the Commission supports the coordinated party. So we are going to make sure that this focus of excellence in the core countries will be better connected to the signal so that we prepare the ground for a better participation in the future. And we will also include measures towards the national contact point, because we find that if you work more with the national contact point and raise the quality, then there is a much more chances that a good result is obtained in the context of the framework process. So now a little overview of the measures under Prime National Environmental Participation. We have published this course. The previous course will be coming only in July because it will address the 2015 budget. But there is already a call for a transnational network on national contact points on widening, which is already open and will be closed this month. So you have two calls that are open right now: the daily call, the NRCS call, and the NCP call. As I said, in this area, you have two parties: institutions of research and innovation excellence, public or private, or a consortium of that institution, and the participant organizations from the non-performing member states, which will be typically a research agency at national or regional level or regional authority, and for the needs of this program, this organization, the second one, will be the coordinator, which is a compulsory element. I will explain more in a moment. So we will have a two-stage process by which after writing up the report, we will select a few good proposals that they have to be fully compatible with the smart development of the region that they are embedded or the country, and the deliverable we expect that this stage will be a business plan for the center. So the successful proposal presents the statement which has a framework partnership agreement with the commitment, which is a new type of agreement that will simplify I would say, the continuation of the project. Once all the deliverables will be submitted coming out of this pilot project from stage one, we will evaluate them with an international high-level expert panel, and as a result, a very small number of them will receive substantial financial support by Ryan 2020 to set up and operate the center, which then will enter stage two. But I think that we will not fund any infrastructure from Horizon 2020. If there are components on infrastructure in this particular level, we will be funding them from the coalition fund, and this will be, of course, the responsibility of the member states and the region. So here are some factual data on these two pages, and I will leave you to study later on because the presentation will be sent to the organizers shortly. And you will see the second stage, which is the most substantial one, and in which we are expecting something between 57 projects to develop, and will be quite substantial because we can expect something like 15 to 20 billion per proposal. Although you see the first stage will be rather restricted with allocation between 200,000 and 500, because this is about reducing the business part. Because it's not, it is published, but it is not open for submission in the electronic submission system, because we wouldn't like to leave open a call like this for 9 months. So it will be open on the 1st of April on the submission system. Until then, you can get good proposals. It will be closed on the 17th of September 2014. And this phase has 11.85 billion for deployment. Credit, as I said, will be launched only in 2015. Again, only the institution located in local of the country is expected to sign the grant and rigorous equipment with a minimum participation of 12 different partners in the 2 different member states and countries. Again, the cosmos period is 64 billion. It will be opened in July, and it will be, in a sense, a countdown research profession. There also the parliament say that for screening and also for screening, I made the corrections here, all participating parties will be signing the grant agreement. So, and this will be also funded for that. As an example for what will be funding grant screening, I have brought 2 examples of successful projects under the 57 research professional activity. One was the Estonian Business Center in Estonia and Tartu University, which was successfully working with 2 partnering organizations in the Nordics, from UK, the Netherlands, Finland, and Germany. And you will see that the essence of the activity was to establish a database working between this Estonian center that was excellent, but was lacking successful networking with advanced partners in Western Europe. And the same thing, and even more pronounced, the Pasteur Institute of French Guiana in the second division, in the program project. The criteria that are retained for the widening action is a composite indicator of research excellence, and the reason that we retain this indicator is that excellence is a key factor for performance for the whole research innovation system. It was actually the only indicator that could measure excellence and measure several dimensions, including innovation. Parameters were normalized to eliminate size and population biases, and innovation has been taken into account through the patent application variable. There's also a strong correlation between the excellence indicator and the X7 budget share per country. So I keep in mind that we do not apply cohesion criteria, and this indicator, by the way, was also introduced in the Investment Business Competitiveness Report 2013. And you can see here the state of the 4 variables we use. For example, we use the highly cited publications of the country as a share of the top 10% most cited publications normalized by the GDP. We also took into account the number of world-class universities and public research institutions in the country normalized by the population, with the world's top 250 universities and research institutions, the patent applications per billion population, and the total value of the ERC grant divided by public R&D performed by the higher education and government sector. And we cut this to 70% of the EU average. So by doing this, you will see that a few member states become eligible, noted down on the top of this table. So in principle, you have all EU countries. So it is well including Croatia, but also you have Portugal and Luxembourg. It might come as some surprises here, but not all of the coalition partners share this particular distribution. But this is because the Council text and the Parliament text was talking about non-performing countries and research innovation. So it's not something to do with the GDP per capita, so we're not talking about poor countries or middle countries. And this is much closer to the philosophy of right in 2020, which is, as is known, a program devoted to excellence for research and innovation. So the bottom line, and I'm going to finish my presentation with this slide, we have a significant effort for knowledge transfer in business. It's not the coherence, but the performance and the approach. This is the reason we have selected different criteria for this part. The focus is much more on institution building. There is, however, marked importance of class specialization, and as a result, we know that all member states are now preparing their smart specialization strategy and the operational projects where we will need to see this translated. And the European structural investment action can be actually effectively coupled immediately because they are complementary. So, international, I would say, you have big expectations, of course, big risks, but maybe also huge gain. So, if you want to find more about this, you will find first Horizon 2020 on the internet, and then also read and post it on this particular link. I would like to thank you for your attention. You can, of course, put any questions you might like for this presentation.
Thank you, Dimitri. It was a very clear presentation of the intentions and the spirit of the new approach, and of course the ambitious orientation towards increasing excellence and at the same time spreading more excellence and quality in the European area. So I'm now inviting colleagues here in the conference room to raise any question that there might be. Who would like to ask a question? Yes, over there.
Hello, my name is Renko, coming from the Electrical Industry Association from the Chamber.
Can you hear well?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question. Maybe Boris, you could repeat it.
Hello?
Mogoče bi prišel, mogoče pridite
I
gor.
cannot hear the audience.
The gentleman is coming here. It will be easier.
Thank you again. I would ask a question regarding the combination of funding. You mentioned that it's very important to have also the projects included into the smart specialization of each and every country. That is, I presume, valid also for Slovenia. So a lot of companies are looking how to proceed with financement, let's say, after, though we have only the beginning of the horizon, but still to have it into the smart specialization is also important to take this into account. And my question would be, first, is there any rule or, let's say, guideline already prepared how to try to combine financement in the horizon and later on in the smart specialization? And will the projects which will be prepared for the horizon be treated also from the viewpoint whether they have connection to smart specialization also? That means, is this possible combined funding a advantage, in brackets, for the preparedness of the projects for horizon? Thank you.
Yes, actually, this is a very relevant question, and I will try to explain as much as I can. I think if you look at this, you will know a little bit the microphone again from the speakers, but I hear my own voice. So, in a nutshell, the first thing is following. In all regulations, we have introduced articles that allow this combination of articles. As I said, there is also in the same article, it is the article 31 of the rules of participation, and also article 55 paragraph 8 of the common provision regulation of the structural fund, that explicitly allow this simultaneous interaction. And this is the the terminology that I would really prefer to use, not so much because if I use the terminology combination, the expectation that you have is that you are going probably to replace the own contributions of companies or the one of the public sector with money from Horizon 2020 or the transfer fund for vice versa. So the issue project, for example, costs 100%, and it says a grant agreement with Horizon 2020. This doesn't mean that we will get 70% by Horizon and the rest 20% by the transfer fund, and then you will give only 10%. The rules of each and every funding instrument will still apply to the pool. And actually, it is prohibited to use the same cost in the project twice, because this will lead to double funding. So you cannot use a cost item once towards the Horizon and grant agreement, and then turn to the transfer fund to use again the same cost item. Of course, you found, for example, researchers. You are a company and you employ two researchers, and you have a grant agreement with Horizon, a transnational consortium, so you put the salary of these people in your Horizon grant, and then you put again the same salary for the project, because we can never fund salaries on the normal basis. We are funding only the remuneration regarding the project, and then you can use it again for the transfer fund. This is prohibited. But what you can do is extend. This project can have more funding streams. One funding stream can be Horizon 2020. It is the one that you will find that will actual projects. Then you can think of additional actions that will increase the impact and I would say, the breadth of the project in local terms. Because this is actually what the transfer fund can help you for. So you can imagine, for example, if the company that participates in a price grant agreement has some growth package that's funded by this grant agreement, and then they could think about something additional responding to the same project needs, but this time pointing to the transfer fund to the operational program at national or regional level. A project is not a grant agreement. A project can have, as you know, several grant agreements. And you remember that the grant agreements that are funded under the transfer fund are always managed by the national or regional level. They are not managed by the community. So you have to make sure with a good planning, and the market authorities have to foresee the particular policy measures that will allow them to reserve money also for reinforcing this act. I would say before any grant agreement with Horizon, if you have already a Horizon grant agreement, after the end of any grant agreement with Horizon, it also that the commercialization of the test results that towards the market is also a mark objective of the European Regional Development Fund. Don't forget also that you can train researchers in public and private research organizations through the European Social Fund. So, but again, what you have to pay attention to is that you should not merge the two cost items into one. And on the one hand, use the right stuff, and on the other hand, the transfer fund. I agree with you in the terms that this is a little bit more complicated, but if you think there is two particular components of your project, of any project, this can work quite well.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dimitri. I think it was a very clear and comprehensive reply. Do we have another question? Well, it seems the presentation was so clear and consistent that...
You will have it also by email. I will send it right now. And if there are still any questions, don't hesitate to send it by email, and I will be really happy to do that.
That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. I think we will now switch for the next presentation of Mr. Daniele Springhetti, and I pass on to my colleague who will switch on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I have the presentation. I will put it on the meeting page.
Excellent.
Okay.
And, right.
Thank you.
Probably you have it now.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Bye.
Razlog, zakaj je tako slaba, mislim, slabši kvaliteta zvoka je, ker je prenos tak iz tega spletne strani. Tako da nismo mogli nič narediti, ko smo tudi pri testiranju ni bilo možno tega popraviti, je pa naslednji software pa dosti boljš prenos omogoča, tako da tega pa zdaj bomo tudi štartali. Takole. Okay, Mr. Pozdravli.
Yes, good afternoon. So everybody is here and looking forward to your presentation, Mr. Springhetti. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Just a moment. As agreed, I will now make a little bit of switching. So you will not see, but you will see do you see us?
Yes,
Okay,
I
good.
can see you.
Okay,
Indeed.
good.
Thank you.
Welcome. Now we lost you. No, everything is okay. So just a little switch off. I will switch now towards presentation, and I will leave the word to you. So, okay. Okay, just a moment. Now you can do.
Yes.
Sinebo.
So,
Yes. We can
I can
start.
start then?
Yes.
Very good. So I will start by presenting myself. First of all, can I go on?
Yes.
Very good. So, well, first of all, good morning everybody. I saw you too. I don't see you now. My name is Daniele Springhetti, and I'm an officer of the European Commission and a project advisor in the European Research Council. And I'm a legal and financial expert for Horizon 2020. So today I will present you in a wide overview the key legal and financial characteristics of Horizon. First of all, in any case, please accept my apologies for the quality of the presentation. Of course, the fact that I don't see the audience, it might impact the quality. Is always difficult for a speaker to speak in the dark, let's say, but we make it work. So the first slide, please. Thank you very much. So the two key elements of today's presentation. We will look at the rules for participation for Horizon 2020, and then we will have a rapid look also at the model grant agreement. Because in the end, of course, in case you are successful, the document that binds you to us is indeed the model grant agreement. The first slide. I think I have to click again in order to go on with the designs. Very good. Again, I think it's everything. Yes. So, the first slide here wants to, let's say, make you understand that under Horizon, there are a lot of very different brands, let's say. Even in this 2 days conference that you have a lot of speakers today and tomorrow that will address very different topics with very fancy names, let's say. but you have to be aware that in reality everything falls under Horizon 2020, therefore the rules for participation apply to all of them. So in the end, even if grants and logos are very different from each other, they all submit to the same rules, and therefore things are different from each other as the European Institute of Innovation and Technology or the Joint Technology Initiatives or other more traditional parts of the framework program concepts like collaborative actions. They all fall under the same set of rules. This is in general, let's say, shows a desire of simplification from our side to clear the field from misunderstandings. And of course, in general, the key reference in terms of legal and financial issues for us is always the EU financial regulation. And then at the level of the framework program, there are the Horizon 2020 rules for participation. And then I will go in detail about them right now in this presentation. So the next one, please. Okay, again, until we have the full slide shown. Okay. So the first initial elements, the very basics of the participation in a EU program, the conditions for participation. Here there are no differences in reality with the minimum requirements which characterize the FP7. For collaborative actions, you have always a minimum of 3 legal entities from 3 different member states. These are very, very, very minimal requirements. I have to say that it's hard not to respect this kind of requirement. Instead, we have then a few exceptions, so to say, and you see them in the second point. For certain types of actions, it is allowed to participate with a single legal entity, so it is allowed to participate without a consortium. And this is in particular the case for the body for which I'm working right now, which is the European Research Council, in which a single legal entity, usually a university or research center, can participate. Then you have the same condition for the SME instrument, which is a brand new instrument to support basically startups, very, very young, research-intensive SMEs. And then you have the same minimal conditions for things such as the program co-fund actions, and then CSAs, coordination and support action, you see them. Usual CSAs is a code, for those of you who are expert in FP7, is a code word already existing under FP7, and also for training and mobility actions. Training and mobility actions are mostly the Marie Curie actions, in fact. And then you always to consider, of course, that additional conditions can be put on top of these minimum conditions. And you will learn about the conditions directly in the work program of each theme of research. And classical examples in this sense are calls where the Commission wants you to cooperate with a specific region of the world, because there is, for example, a scientific and technological agreement which foresees joint research on a series of topics, for example, with Russia, with India, with Japan, with the United States, with Brazil. And in these cases, specific calls can be used for this purpose, so there will be additional conditions asking the consortium, the European consortium, to bring in, of course, a minimum number of non-EU participants. And also, other type of additional conditions could be that a part of the budget in a project must be, let's say, earmarked for SMEs, for example. This has been quite classical in the last rounds, of course, of FP7, in which a certain amount of money had to be set aside for the participation of SMEs. So this is another type of additional condition. You see all these additional conditions in the work program of each team. So next to each call, you see what kind of additional conditions might apply. But I have to admit, in general, the minimum conditions are the rule, and the other cases are rather exceptional. The next slide, please. Again, a couple of clicks. Another one, yes, sorry, back. So, the evaluation of proposal. Here you have quite, again, classical series of items, the classical series of criteria. We always evaluate proposals on the basis of excellence, impact, and quality and efficiency of the action. And they have a certain weight, of course. And usually, at least under FP7, each of these was evaluated out of 5, so the total had to be 15. And of course, let's say, given the quality of the competition for the calls, it is more and more true that in order to succeed, you have to aim for probably a result of at least 13 out of 15, 14 out of 15, let's say. Because of course competition is tough. Again, the ELC where I work represent an exception. We have many exceptions. For us, it's only excellence. How do we decline it? Well, for the experts of ELC, it is not different from the past. For the rest, I will tell you. We evaluate the excellence of the principal investigator and of its idea. So this is the way in which we have elaborated our standard award criteria. And instead, in order for innovation actions, an higher rating will be given to the criteria impact. But on this, I have to admit, with you, I don't work in this field, so I can't say much about innovation actions. The ELC is all about frontier research. So we are very far from the market, let's say. The next. Okay, very good. So, this is quite important for the professionals of the work in new programs. With Horizon, this is important novelty. With Horizon, there is a very serious commitment from the side of the institutions to grant the money faster. This is the key message. We want to grant money faster. We understood that too much time passes from the moment in which a call is closed to the moment in which you can start the activities. There are, of course, if you want to attract business, we have to be faster in handing out the money. Perhaps for public research institutions, it is not that dramatic, doesn't make that much difference. But of course, in order to, let's say, make our course attractive in the business environment, you have to give the money away rapidly. So, we have an obligation now to conclude the evaluations, the preparation of the grant agreement within 8 months. Which is, I can tell you, a very important and difficult commitment from our side, because it implies for us an important effort to fasten our procedures. We will basically take 5 months, the first 5 months from the closure of the call, so the starting point is the closure of the call. We'll take the first 5 months to evaluate the proposals. And then we will get in touch with the winners, of course, and ask them to prepare the grant agreement. So things get real, we will get in touch with you and we have to prepare the legal document, which will bind the two sides as a new for the successive 3 to 5 years. Again, exceptions. You see, ELC is always there. We are always a footnote at the end of each slide. For us, we don't have to respect this deadline. Why? Because it has been agreed that the quality of the evaluation system in use in the ELC, which is a peer review system of the highest level with panels of scientists coming from all over the world, can be constrained into only 5 months. It wouldn't be impossible. So we don't have the kind of limit. But we still have to try to sign the grants within 3 months. So we don't have an obligation to finish the evaluations within the first 5 months, but once the principal investigators which won are known, we have to remain within that time limit of 3 months to sign the grant agreements. And you see also that we wrote some exceptions apply duly justified cases or were requested by the applicants, when in reality, in the end, we believe that the real and only exception will be, in fact, the ELC, and no other cases will be available. Other issue is, though, do not misunderstand this point, is the time in which you start the action. So let's say that, for example, you are involved in a research which is seasonal by nature. Just for example, agriculture. If you are in a proposal of Horizon where we are obliged to grant you the money within 8 months, well, it might not fall, let's say, in the right moment according to your seasonal research. Well, don't misunderstand at this point. One is signing the grant agreement, and one thing is the start date of the project. So even in that case, even with that seasonal start, which might be delayed, you might need to start in 12 months rather than 8, you can still start in 8 months. We simply have to sign the grant agreement within 8 months. But then we will put you a start date according to your needs. In general, a delayed start date for research reasons is the kind of example that I just gave you, so kind of seasonal research. The next slide. So, how we intend to speed up the process. So, again, I say we, even if, as I said, the ESC doesn't apply, but say all other colleagues who will work on the Horizon, then we have to go faster. So not only will we do the evaluations as fast as possible, but the preparation of the grant agreement will go faster. How will we do that? So there will be less of a negotiation, meaning that the project proposal that you submit, so the proposal of science that you have prepared, and which has been positively evaluated, will be taken as such. Okay, so we will not rediscuss the science. So at the moment of the preparation of the grant agreement, we will not reopen, let's say, the document to ask you to modify this and that in terms of science. This already should represent an important amelioration, because instead of FP6 and FP7, it is quite common in reality to rediscuss also partially the science in your proposal on the basis of limitations of the panels. Well, this will not happen anymore in Horizon. Then, let's say that legal entity validated in parallel, it means some administrative paperwork will have to be dealt with in parallel with the evaluation in order to go faster. But in reality, legal entity validation means that, for example, if your university or your research center is new to the European Union framework program, so it is not registered in our system, you will have to register. But under FP7, I mean, we have already registered, I guess, perhaps in the area of 40,000 participants throughout the world. And we will keep those validations active for Horizon. So, in general, in theory, from any entity you are coming from, well, it should have been already validated under FP7. So, even this part will go much faster. No more paper. This is very important, not only for the granting phase, but in general. So Horizon is truly full electronic system, let's say. We will no longer exchange papers, right? So you will not have to send stuff in Brussels. We will not send you something, well, in your case, Slovenia, let's say. You will not have to send back the grant agreement in Brussels. Everything will be done electronically. So you will have to sign electronically in our secure system, and we will do the same. We will sign with you in our secure system. So this is going to really cut the time spent waiting for the documents to travel across Europe. And this will be the same for all the other interactions between us and you. Also, I mean, when the project is started, for the submission of the reports, for the request of amendments, this kind of thing, everything will be fully electronic. The next slide. Another couple of clicks. Yeah. So, now the real juice, so to say. The money will be distributed via mostly 4 forms of funding. One is the very well-known one, grants, the usual form of funding that you have known for all these years, identical in FP6 and FP7. And then there are a few novelties, which I will address in the next slide. For grants, we will go for actual cost. So the usual form of declaring the cost will be actual cost, so the real cost input. And we will reimburse. Okay, so of course the system in which our money works is that you first spend the money and then we reimburse. Though, even if it is true that in the end, in the beginning, so once the project started, we send you a pre-financing, so an amount of money upfront to start activities. But in general, the concept is, it is not a price, so we give you the money in the beginning and then it's over. It's a reimbursement of the costs. So you first spend the money and then we reimburse you. In addition to the cost, to the actual cost, so you declare exactly what you have spent according to what is written in the books. There are a few more systems, let's say. You will have the possibility to use lump sums for certain items of cost, in particular for the SME instrument. So in case there are SMEs in the audience, this is very interesting. And also in normal grants, there will be the possibility to claim certain costs using lump sums or using unit costs. So for example, for personnel costs, you will have the possibility to decide in claiming them as actual cost or unit cost, and lump sums can instead be used for other type of direct cost, such as, for example, if I remember correctly, like clinical trials, but let's say items of cost which can be easily identified as a single element, let's say. But in general, of course, the normal, the most used system to declare costs will be actual costs. So the real costs incurred as they are registered in the books, as they are in the books of your organization. The next slide, please. So the notice. We have introduced the use of procurement and the use of prices, in particular for actions targeting innovation. Again, I have to admit I don't work in this field, so I can't say much, but the point which that I want to make is the following. There is desire of the mission to look at new forms of funding. I mean, procurement and prices are not used under FP7, and instead there is a desire to start using them on a much wider basis under Horizon, and this can be particularly interesting for enterprises. Honestly, I think we believe that this is going to be interesting, particularly for the businesses. You will have then pre-commercial procurement and procurement of innovative solutions, and then also prices. Instead, again, other thing which is very important for enterprises, financial instruments. Financial instruments started existing, let's say, under FP7 with a risk-sharing financial facility. So financial instruments per se are not a novelty of Horizon. They have been introduced as a way to disperse the money of research with FP7. But in Horizon, they are, let's say, broadened in scope and also in the money allocated to it. And I'm making a point of it because we believe that it's very interesting for enterprises, because for an enterprise working with, no one working in the environment of financial instruments should be closer to their normal way of working than working with grants. On this point anyway, I noticed that you have a dedicated presentation on this point tomorrow afternoon, so I can only, let's say, advise you to keep in mind this point that I made and present all your questions to the person which will address access to risk finance tomorrow afternoon. This person will certainly be able to go very much in details, and again, this is particularly interesting for enterprises. The next slide, please. Another click. Another one. We are almost there. Okay, not too much. So, in terms of simplification, there is an important simplification in Horizon. I think you are aware that simplification is a word that is enormously used in Commission, in EU jargon, and that I agree. Though sometimes we manage to simplify. And this is one case. So I guess by now it's very well known, but in any case we went from a very complicated system of reimbursement rates based on the activities done in a project and based on the legal nature of the entity participating, towards a new system as simple as what budget one rate, as simple as 100% of the direct cost reimbursed. Well, this is it, so there's not much to add. There is full reimbursement of the cost of the action, and this is the style used under FP7 for the ERC. So in this sense, we were the front runners, because in our grants, the reimbursement rate was already 100%, and this has been enlarged to all calls of Horizon. And you see a small caveat: there is a limitation to 70% in innovation projects, but for non-profit organizations. So in reality, it means that in general it's always 100%, really the overwhelming majority of the cases, and only one special case, innovation actions, the reimbursement rate is lower. But in general, it is correct to state that under Horizon it is 100% reimbursement rate. Next. Again, sorry. Here as well, okay, now this is common knowledge. We cut all the types of indirect cost models to one, which is the 25% flat rate. So, for those of you who are not really experts of making up a budget for an EU project, you have the direct cost, which is, for example, personnel, travel, equipment, consumables, and then we have a certain amount of indirect cost. So in general, there will be the costs which are incurred for the action but are not directly linked to it. So for example, the consumption of energy in a room, the heating, all the horizontal services, the cleaning of the laboratories, all these things are indirect costs. And you can't apportionate them correctly to the direct cost in general. In FP7 there are several ways to calculate these costs, and then instead for Horizon the decision was to go for a much simplified approach. It is a lump sum, it is a flat rate of 25%, so you will simply have to build your budget asking yourself how much you have to spend in direct costs, so how much in personnel, in travel, in equipment, and then we will simply put on top of this for you 25%, end of the story. Next. So, a few words on the cost categories. Actually, this slide deals only with personnel because it is the most important and the one in which there are a couple of novelties. But of course, well, I have already anticipated it previously, the categories of cost, the usual categories of cost are, of course, personnel, equipment, travel, consumables. So the idea is simply that you can charge to an Horizon 2020 project all, in fact, the costs of a research activity. But the most important heading is, of course, personnel in most of the cases. In certain type of research, it is also equipment. So, of course, if the research request and a very heavy investment in equipment, but in general, let's say, the most important item, of course, is personnel. So, personnel, first of all, what you can charge, but in general, you can charge any person employed by your legal entity. So, if you are a principal investigator, and if you are the researcher, the scientific coordinator, you can charge your own salary, the salary of all your collaborators, postdoc, PhD students, research assistants, and technicians, and so on and so forth. Then, as I anticipated, this cost can be charged in terms of actual cost, so it means the real cost as they are registered in the books, they are presenting in the salary slip, let's say, or unit cost based on your accounting practice. So if you have an account, so if your administration has an accounting practice of calculating personnel by unit cost, so for example, let's say 30 euros per hour, then under Horizon you can charge cost in this way. Then we will also set supplementary payments, which is a way of saying bonuses, up to 8,000 euros per year per person. So let's make a concrete example. If a person is working 100% in one of our grants, you can charge up to 8,000 euros on top of his normal salary as a bonus. but only of course if this is in any case the general practice of your institution, so you have to foresee bonuses for your researchers anyway, and then you will be able to charge up to 8,000 euros for us. And then in terms of time recording, of course, I mean, if you go for, well, even if you go for actual cost or for unit cost, you still have to declare, let's say, how many hours a person has worked in the EU project. So you need to track this somewhere. Of course, the suggested way of doing it is by using timesheets, as it was at 7, but there is an important change in horizon, and the change is the following. For people employed 100%, there will be no need to produce timesheets. So it will simply be a matter of a self-certification. So it means that in practice, if we send you an audit, the auditors will come and look, and of course inquire about the personnel cost, and you will be able to tell them this person of the team is working 100%, and you will not have to produce timesheet to support this kind of process. So we believe that this is an important simplification, let's say, in this very delicate field. Again, next slide, please. Controls and audits. So the viability of coordinators will be checked only for projects that are bigger than 100,000 euros. Then audit certificates. This is important for the professionals of FP6, FP7. We will ask audit certificates only once at the end of the project, and only for those entities, for the beneficiaries, that have spent more than 325,000 euros. So let's make a concrete example. You have a project of 1 million euro with 3 participants. One is spending 700 and the other 2 are sharing the other 300. So at the end of this project of 1 million euro, the 2 participants which were sharing the 300, they would have to produce an audit certificate, because either one spent 100 and the other spent 200, let's say. Only the coordinator which spent 700 will have to produce an audit certificate. This is an important amelioration, because in this moment under FP7 you have to produce an audit certificate at 375,000 euros. So several times in the life of the project. This is important not only because it's going to save you, let's say, administrative time with the auditors, but also because in this way, of course, the money to be allocated to pay the audit certificates will be less otherwise, because you will have to ask the auditors to produce only a certificate in the end. So we believe that a bit of money will be saved for science, of course. And well, ex post audits means exactly that. When we send you the auditors, the idea there in any case is to, let's say, reduce the number of audits that we carry out in a spirit of better trust with the researchers. And then the guarantee fund is for, it's basically the fund that covers you, covers your consortium in case there is a loss of EU money. And it means in case there is a default participant, so a participant one that goes bankrupt. So in that case, let's say the participant in your consortium goes bankrupt, and goes bankrupt with, let's say, 100,000 euros of EU money. In the past, the rest of the consortium should have done without the 100,000. With the guarantee fund, we are able to cover this amount of money. And the guarantee fund is basically, let's say, an amount of money that we keep from your EU contribution at the beginning. So let's make again a concrete example. You have an EU project of 1 million euro. We will keep 5% at the beginning, and we set it aside. In doing so, that amount of money will generate interests. The interest generated will be used to cover eventual losses, which means that at the end of the project, we're also able to give you back your 5%. And we'll simply keep the interest on top of it for eventual defaults. The next one, please. So international cooperation, this is always important in terms of who can participate. Well, as in FP7, let's say the EU framework for research is probably the most open framework program, well, research program in the world, in the sense that it is not at all limited, closed to the EU 28 participants, but is in fact open to any legal entity established in any country of the world. And restriction, so general rule is total openness, right? And eventual restriction, you will see that in the work program. But in general, the participation is always open to everybody. It means that, of course, if you have working relationship with American universities, Indian universities, African universities, any other South American universities, research centers, enterprises, of course, they will always be able to participate in the project, and they will get reimbursement. Of course, not the participants from the most developed countries, so let's say the Americans, the Canadians, the Australians, the Japanese, they can participate, but they will have to participate with money out of their pockets. But other participants, again from Africa, Latin America, or most part of Asia, for example, they will be able to participate and get money exactly in the same conditions as you as the coordinators, as one of the EU participants. The next. This is what I said, so the money, can third country participant get the money? Yes, they can if the third country is identified in the work program, or if the Commission deems it essential, or if it is foreseen in a bilateral S&T agreement. I mean, it means that basically it's a more complicated way to say what I just said. So, in basically, any participant from a third country can get funding, because in general all the third countries are identified in the work program. So in each work program there is an annex that states all the third countries that are eligible, and they are all eligible. So the principle is again general openness, and then there are in case limitations. The limitations are for the most developed countries, like again United States, Canada, and so on. But it is obvious, of course, they clearly have the money to do their research. The next one. One back, just okay, that case. We have a look now at the model grant agreement. Why? Because as I said, in the end, this is the piece of paper that binds you to us. The model grant agreement is always signed by the coordinator and the Commission or one of its agencies. So it is never signed by all the participants. And now let's see how it changes in comparison with FP7. So first of all, you have to be aware that there is not a single model, but 5, which is in many cases, I admit, not bad considering the heterogeneity of the activities that we want to support under Horizon. So there is a general model grant agreement, which will be used in most of the cases. And then there is a special model grant agreement for us, the one that you see on top, ERC MGA, ERC model grant agreement. Of course, because we have several specificities. Then there is a dedicated model grant agreement for the SME instrument. And again, let me go back on this point. I told you that tomorrow you will have a presentation called Access to Risk Finance, in which you can ask them about the debt facility and the equity facility. And now I'm going to argue that before that intervention, I see from the agenda you have another one which is called Innovation in SMEs, and it comes before. Innovation in SMEs is the name for what you see as the SME instrument. So, in particular for SMEs, well, tomorrow's presentation is the presentation in which you would have to ask them, tell us everything about how the SME instrument works. Then there's a model agreement for the co-fund action, so like the aggregates, and then a model agreement for the risk products occurring action. Under F7 only as monitoring. So for the mobility of researchers. Then the next slide, please. Novelties, but here in reality the only thing that you have to keep in mind is the third point, online explanation for each part of the grant. Now, I'm aware that perhaps the audience that I have in front and will see is mostly composed of researchers, so I'm not asking you to go through a lot of pages on legal wording. In this sense, the Commission is aware, of course, of this, and we came up with an online explanation of all the items of the grant agreement. So online you find the grant agreement, and next to it an annotated version that explains more rapidly what it is all about. Because in any case, it's always important to know what you are signing, of course. This is the most important thing in this slide. The next one, please. The model agreement of Horizon is a single document which puts together what under FP7 was divided in three. This is, let's say, for the sake of, I don't know if it is for the sake of readability, but certainly it is for the sake of clarity. At least you know that you have to look for the information in a single piece of paper. In FP7 you have three, basically, pieces of paper where to look for the legal and financial rules which were binding you with us. In the Horizon, it's a single piece of paper. It's very long, of course, a lot of articles, but at least everything is a single piece of paper. So, next slide, please. The next one. So, as I said, it is not a short document, the model agreement, but at least it's a single piece of paper. And here you have the structures, but you understand a bit of this structure. Again, as I said, we put online an annotated version, so a commented version that explains more easily what it is about each article. Okay, this is only to give you an idea of the shape of the grant agreement. So of course, let's say in the end, in the beginning, it is always mentioned you are the representative of the EU and of the coordinator, the duration of the action, how much money you are entitled to, and then all the rights and obligations that you have with us. Okay, this is everything. Then the next one, the annexes. I told you that it's a single document, but I mean, let's say the legal part is a single document, but then we have at least a couple of important annexes. Of course, we are talking about research here, right? So, attached to the grant agreement, there is what? The description of the action. So, of course, the science itself. So, what you propose, the piece of paper document with which you applied, it becomes the description of the action. It is your successfully turned into a document which is called the description of the action, in which you basically commit yourself to deliver that kind of research. And then the other important annex is 2, which is the estimated budget. Now, what is important about it? Well, with EU projects, you win a maximum amount of money. So you are entitled to a maximum EU contribution of, let's say, 1.5 million euros. It means that the only thing which is settled is this maximum salary. But then it doesn't mean that in the first year you have to spend this much in personnel, this much in equipment, this much in travels, and if you don't spend that much, you lose the money. You can always rearrange budget according to your needs. This is an important element to keep in mind. It means that we ask you to prepare a budget at the beginning, but in reality, we know that it's indicative. So if you have allocated a certain amount of money in personnel, you can spend more or less in the end. What is not going to change is the maximum year contribution, but how much money you spend in each heading, and also how much money each participant spends, is a matter of internal agreement of the consortium. So you don't have to spend 100 if you had allocated to yourself 150,000 if participant number 2 had 50,000. You can do whatever you want with the money. The only certain thing is that in the end we will reimburse you only up to certain threshold. And if you want to reshuffle the budget, you don't have to, let's say, notify us in advance. Also, I'm talking directly to reserves, in particular of ground grants, but the rule is always the same. Let's say if in the beginning you plan to hire 3 postdocs and 2 PhD students, okay, and in the end you hire 4 postdocs and 1 PhD students, or the costs are less and you are able to hire 4 postdocs and 4 PhD students, it is not a problem at all. It is not a problem at all. The only certain thing is the threshold. The amount of money that we decide to give you is written in stone in the grant agreement, and that's the only rule, let's say. And you're free to rearrange the budget. And also you're free to move the budget from travel to equipment, from equipment to personnel, and so on and so forth. This is probably the most important message on this slide. Next one is, again, I had anticipated it in the beginning. Now this is only a repetition. We go for full electronic management of our grants. So the relationship between us and you becomes electronic. We are in the era of social networks and so on and so forth, and the Commission managed in the end to remain on this train, let's say, and therefore the grant agreement will be signed electronically. The request of amendment and the issue, the production of the amendments will be done electronically. But for those of you who are not familiar with the concept, an amendment means that once the grant agreement is signed, you want to change something. For example, you want to add a participant, you want to remove a participant, for example, that is an amendment. Up until FP7, this thing had to be done in paper, so it was necessary to have exchange of paper documents. In Horizon, it's full electronic. Which means going much faster. It is also for you important in the sense that you have asked a change which has an important impact on the agreement, so you're asking a change that implies an amendment, so you want to have the legal certainty that this change has been approved by the EU. In FP7 you would have had to wait weeks in order to have this legal certainty. Maybe you had, I don't know, a recruitment procedure depending upon this kind of amendment. Well, in the future, with an electronic exchange, in principle, procedures will go much faster, which means also you will have faster the legal certainty of the thing that you can and cannot do with the EU money in your project. And again, well, the whole communication with us will be via the participant portal. So you have to be aware that there is a dedicated EU portal for Horizon 2020. The brand known up until the end of FP7 was Cordis as the internet website for all the information about the framework program for research. In Horizon, we passed to a new revamped website which is called the Participant Portal. And in there you have everything. It's called Participant Portal, and does not imply that you have to participant in order to look at the website. It's in fact a website for all who want information about Horizon, and which might become participants, of course, if they are successful. And in there you have everything from the calls themselves till the reference materials, the documents, and so on and so forth. And also the exchange, in case you are successful, the exchange of information with the Commission will happen via this participant portal. So there will be a dedicated space, personalized space for your project in which you interact with us. the next one, and it's everything. Voila. So thank you very much, and then I'm available for questions.
Mr. Springhetti, I wish to thank you for this very clear presentation. As a person who has spent in Brussels more than 16 years, I can tell you I give you compliments for fulfilling the promise of making it simpler. That is a big step, and for a big institution like EU Commission, of course, I can imagine it was not easy to do it. But certainly you have succeeded, and I think you deserve all the compliment for that, which I'm sure will make thousands of researchers and project participants happy and will allow them to focus more on the work and less on red tape. So thank you again. And of course I invite our colleagues now to ask any question they may wish to raise. I think the best would be to come here, yes, so that you can see the...
Thank you.
You do see me as well, or not?
Yeah,
Do you? Okay. So, here is the first question, please.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Elena Hristova, and I'm actually a grant funding consultant and a project manager. So my question refers actually to the part that you've mentioned, that the negotiation stage will be kind of abolished. Now we're here to talk that the negotiations in terms of the scientific part will be abolished, but my question is what that means now in terms of the funding, the maximum funding the project can get, and the actual duration of the project.
Sorry, can you repeat the end of the question?
Okay, so if you say that the negotiations will be abolished in terms of science, the quality of the proposal, what that means for the funding, the maximum funding awarded to the project, is that part of negotiations still or not? And the other question is also for the duration of the project. Because now in Horizon actually we don't have any limits set on the duration and the funding. So would that mean that this is something to be negotiated later, or how is it going to work?
Well, for the length of the proposals, I suppose that in each work program there will be indications. So for example, I can only make a concrete example for the ERC. We are looking at either 5 or 6 years in terms of length. And we have always had amongst the longest grants. So I guess that in other parts of Horizon project can be shorter. In general, indications in this sense are given in the work program. I can only say that in FP7, the length was a bit linked to the funding scheme. So for example, if you were preparing a collaborative project, it was usually in the area of maybe 5 years. If you were preparing a small-scale collaborative project, it would be in the area of 3 years. Coordination and support action could go anywhere from 1 year to 3 years. So let's say the indicative length was linked indeed to the funding schemes. Since now the funding schemes are no longer existing except for CSAs, which are clearly identified, it's a bit more difficult to say. I guess it will depend, I guess it will be written in the work program, what kind of length they are expecting. But I have to say from the inside, we do not expect particular changes regarding the length. We have never discussed things such as, let's say, advising people to go all for a project of 6 years or advising people to go all for projects of 1 year. The length of the project has never been an item of discussion in the house, so I suppose we will go on more or less with the style with the length that are usual and are known under FP6 and FP7. Moreover, in any case, at a certain point we have to close down the program. So in any case, we can't really, let's say, probably sign grants for 10 years, right? The maximum length can be probably 6 years. In general, it would be 5. Now we are looking exactly at for example, at 6. But that would be the absolute maximum. Also because, at a certain point, the framework program must be brought to an end anyway, and a new one will have to kick in. Then concerning the the negotiation part. Okay, the negotiation on the science is no longer there, so what we say is the proposal is taken as is, so means whatever has been submitted at the beginning is evaluated by evaluators and it is accepted. I guess that if they cut the EU contribution, we will stay with the cut. So there is no margin to already discuss the amount of money. And then you were asking me another element, again, sorry.
No, actually that was my question, how you're going to avoid the negotiation if you still will have, I mean, okay, the cut of the budget now will reflect on the work probably done, because all the work we are planning it for certain money. Now if you say to me, you're getting, I don't know, 500,000 less, I would have to change my work done. And that would again affect the scientific part.
Yeah.
So we are in a circle that it's, no, it seems that it cannot be without the negotiation again at the end.
Let's say that, I mean, we still have now these 3 months for the grant preparation. In any case, it means, of course, that there is still margin to discuss certain things. But I guess that it is very clear that the message is not to negotiate the scientific part unless it is absolutely necessary, which is contrary to the present situation, let's say. So let's say the message is, in general, let's try not to reopen any preparation on the science and let's keep it as it is. Then where it will be necessary, I guess, okay, it will be done. But in general, the message will be the scientific part coming out of the evaluations must not be touched. And the services will try as much as possible to apply this rule. Then, of course, there will be time needed for the more administrative preparation of the grant agreement, but that's another story. It was not the
Okay. Thank you very much. That would be, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Another question? Well, it seems you deserve the second compliment, and that is that the presentation was so clear that except for this further clarification, which I think was useful, it seems that you have really equipped us with all the information needed to be able to start preparing submissions.
Good.
Sorry.
I have a question.
Yeah. In fact, my colleague Maya Felinci is reminding me of a question which was raised earlier, and we were not able to give a good, satisfactory answer. We have in Slovenia a status of small company, which is and is not at the same time a legal person. Namely, the liability is not of a legal entity, but of the physical person, which is the owner of the company. The question was whether such a company would be an acceptable partner for the project.
I think that in this case, the person can participate directly as a natural person and will be able to charge his personnel cost on the basis of unit costs. So we have to make an assessment of how much he earns per year, let's say, something like that, per month, per hour, and then declare that kind of cost, that kind of unit cost. Because as I said, for personnel, it is possible to go not only with actual cost, but also with unit costs. In the case of SME owners, or in any case, natural persons, because in this case, it is, even if he is an SME owner, it is more a natural person for us, because you tell me that the liability is with him and not with the company, so it's not a natural person for us. He will be able to participate in his own name, so as a natural person,
right.
He will be able to charge directly his cost with unit cost. So I guess in that case, that maybe in grant preparation, we will have to evaluate the appropriateness of the unit cost that this person is proposing, but once it is approved in the negotiation, it goes in the agreed budget, and then it is accepted, let's say. But I can say it is indeed more a matter of natural person rather than an SME owner, and there is the legal possibility indeed to charge the cost, the personnel cost.
Okay, that's I think is clear enough. Now, I have also a short question at the end. You know this old ongoing story that you have now addressed concerning the difference in research salary levels. And according to the presentation, there is this provision of maximum 8,000 a year. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? In which cases and under what conditions this bonus would apply? Supplementary payment.
Yes. I want to see if I can find you the exact reference to be more precise, but in general, as I'm looking at documents now, but in general, so first of all, the entity must be non-profit. So in any case, let's say, for example, a research center or university will always be eligible.
Yes.
So in that sense, it's okay. And it is on top of the normal. It is on top of the normal salary.
Right.
And let's see. We can see more. We'll have to tell you this is new for us as well, you know?
Yeah, I know it's a new and most welcome provision.
I have to say, we're still studying the details of this thing, but in principle, again, I mean, it's on top of the normal salary, and it should be in any case, let's say, foreseen for all the, but let's say, it should be in line with the bonus policy of the host institution, let's say. So not only the host institution, of the participant. I say host institution because in the ERC, we call the universities host institutions, but the correct term for the entire horizon is, well, participant, let's say. So, in any case, the participants should have already a policy of handing out bonuses, and in that case, the saving is set at 8,000. But I have to admit that on this point, we are still studying all possible declinations of this rule, let's say, in the various situations, and I think that our central financial cell will come up with much clearer presentations on this point. Because we know that these are delicate items and it is of great interest for, well, almost for anybody. You just have to give us a little bit of time to elaborate clear guidance documents or presentations on this point, and then we will be able to be a bit more precise. I can say, have a look at our website. In particular, we annotated a grant agreement, as I mentioned earlier. If you have a look at our website, participant portal, under the reference documents, there are the first guidance documents to the preparation of the project proposals, and in there should be more detailed information about the correct way to calculate this bonus. But I also take notice that I will send you via email and whatever I have on this point, so that you can later distribute it to the audience. I will send to you in the afternoon so that you can distribute to the audience within the day, between today and tomorrow, and so that you have something to study immediately, let's say, because of course the calls are open now, so you need this information as fast as possible.
Okay, very, very kind. Thank you in advance for that, because I'm sure it will be helpful for many people who are preparing submissions. Any further question, perhaps? Well, if not, Mr. Springhetti, again, thanks again for a very useful and very clear presentation, which will help us. And thank you for spending time with us. So I'm sure you get a good round of applause. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. And, well, go on with the event. All the best for the rest of your event. And make a lot of questions to the other speakers that I mentioned earlier from the SMEs, you know.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. And goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Ker zaključujemo, samo še vprašanje, če vam kdo morda odljubka za vprašanje sicer za jutri, kot veste, program začenja 9. uri. Prezentacije bodo na spletnih straneh, zbornice, ministrstva, ZRZ-ja, da ste imeli vse dostopno. Če ni drugega, potem hvala za sodelovanje, vidimo se jutri.